Good morning everyone, good afternoon, good evening. Depends on where you are and what you're doing. I don't want to know what you're doing, alright? It's Paul here and I'm in Brookwood Cemetery today and we've come to find the final resting place of Margaret Campbell. That sun's just hit me, hold on, just observing it. Now she was a lady that married a rich American and I'll tell you a little bit more about her real soon, but she was probably one of the most photographed women of her time. Probably, you know, not as big as like Diana was in her day, Princess Diana, Lady Diana, but she was really well, publicised about what she did and photographed and all that sort of stuff. So I'm going to tell you a little bit more about her real soon. Now, she is one that today I never really heard about before I looked into, and whilst I was just looking to see who was buried here, I came across some information about her. Spiders' webs everywhere today. So thought I would just tell you guys and film her final resting place so you can find out a little bit more about her. So I will now tell you a little bit more about Margaret Campbell. Ethel Margaret Campbell, Duchess of Argyll, née Whigham, formerly Sweeny, 1st of December 1912 to the 25th of July 1993, was a Scottish heiress, socialite and aristocrat who was most famous for her 1951 marriage and much publicised 1963 divorce from her second husband Ian Campbell, the 11th Duke of Argyll. Ethel Margaret Whigham was the only child of Helen Mann Hannay and George Hay Whigham. Her father, the son of Scottish lawyer and cricketer David Dundas Whigham, was chairman of the Clynelice Corporation of Britain and North America. George Hay Whigham was a self-made millionaire. Although his family was well connected, they were not wealthy. Margaret spent the first 14 years of her life in New York City, where she was educated privately at the Hewitt School. Her beauty was much spoken of, and she had youthful romances with Prince Ali Khan, millionaire aviator Glenn Kitson, and publishing heir Max Aitken, later the second Lord of Beaverbrook. In 1928, the future actor David Niven, then 18, had sex with 15-year-old Margaret during a holiday at Bembridge in the Isle of Wight. To the fury of her father, she became pregnant as a result. She was taken into a London nursing home for a secret abortion. All hell broke loose, remembered her family cook Elizabeth Duckworth. Margaret did not mention the episode in her 1975 memoirs, but she continued to adore Niven until the day he died. She was among the VIP guests at his London memorial service. In 1930, Margaret was presented at court in London and was known as the debutante of that year. Shortly afterwards, she announced her engagement to Charles Guy Fulk Greville, 7th Earl of Warwick. However, the wedding did not take place because she preferred Charles Francis Sweeny, 1910 to 1993, an American businessman and amateur golfer from a wealthy Pennsylvania family. Her numerous early romances included an affair with Prince George, Duke of Kent. On the 21st of February 1933, following her conversion to the Roman Catholicism, Margaret married Sweeny at the Brompton Oratory in London. She had been the publicity surrounding her normal Hartnell wedding dress that the traffic in Knightsbridge was blocked for 3 hours. For the rest of her life, Margaret was associated with the glamour and elegance, being a firm client of Hartnell Victor Steeble and Angela Delang in London, before and after the Second World War. She was one of a series of society beauties photographed as classical figures by Madame Yvonne. The Sweenys divorced in 1947. After the end of her first marriage, Margaret was briefly engaged to a Texas-born banker, Joseph Thomas of Lennon Brothers, but he fell in love with another woman and the engagement was broken. She also had a serious romantic relationship with Theodore Rousseau, curator of the Metropolitan Museum of Art, who was, she records, highly intelligent, witty and self-confident, to the point of arrogance. On the 22nd of March 1951, Margaret became the third wife to Ian Douglas Campbell, 11th Duke of Argyll. She wrote later in life, "I had wealth, I had good looks. As a young woman, I had been constantly photographed, written about, flattered, admired, included in the 10 best dressed women in the world list and mentioned by Cole Porter in the words of his hit song, You're the Top. The top was what I was supposed to be. I had become a duchess, a mistress of a historic castle.
My daughter had married a duke. Life was apparently roses all the way. Within a few years, the marriage was falling apart. The Duke was known to be addicted to alcohol, gambling and prescription drugs, and was described as physically violent and emotionally abusive by his first two wives, whose money he tried to use to maintain Inverness Castle. He suspected the Duchess of infidelity and, while she was in New York, engaged a locksmith to break open a cupboard at their Mayfair home, 48 Upper Grosvenor Street. The evidence discovered resulted in the 1963 divorce case in which the Duke accused his wife of infidelity and included a set of Polaroid photographs of the Duchess naked, including her signature 3-strand pearl necklace in the company of another man. The Duchess wrote a memoir, Forget Not, published by W.H. Allen Limited in 1975, which was reviewed negatively for its name-dropping and air of entitlement. She also lent her name as author to a guide to entertaining. With her fortune diminished, she opened her London house at 48 Upper Grosvenor Street, which had been decorated for her parents in 1935 by Sir Whigham for paid tours. Her extravagant lifestyle and ill-considered investments left her largely penniless by the time she had died. Margaret's children later placed her in a nursing home in London. The Duchess died in 1993 after a bad fall in a nursing home. Her funeral, a requiem mass, was held at the Church of Immaculate Conception, Farm Street in Mayfair. She was buried alongside her first husband, Charles Sweeny, who had died only 4 months earlier in Brookwood Cemetery, Woking, Surrey.
So there you have all the information there about the Duchess of Argyll. And imagine being a duchess or a duke. Anyway, I think I found it. This is one of those ones where you sort of look and you look and you look again. But thank you, Brookwood, for putting up the notable grave signs, because it's really well hidden. Okay, there's an American flag there and a British flag. Okay, now on the top, it's a bit hard to see, guys and girls, because there's obviously lots of bits in the way. Charles Francis Sweeny, 1910-1993, founder of the Eagle Squadrons, 1940. Margaret, Duchess of Argyll, 1912 to 1993, née Whigham. Married first, Charles Sweeny, erected in loving memory by Brian and Francis. May they rest in peace. How lovely is that? And over here is Robert Sweeny. So there's obviously a big Sweeny and another one along there. So obviously quite a large area for the family to be buried in. There's a notable grave sign. So there's a QR code on there. If you want to go and have a little look yourself, you can do. Now usually I would stand next to someone's grave and crouch down and pay my respects, but as you can see it's just like Vietnam in there. I can get through, so I can give it a little tap from all of us. Thank you, oh, Margaret, for allowing us to film your final resting place today. Or Duchess of Argyll, I should say, Duchess, yeah. Tip your hat and all that sort of stuff. Yeah, what an interesting life, you know. And like I said, bees and wasps everywhere today. Anyone that knows me, I could deal with anything else. Bees are alright, it's just wasps, a pain in the backside. Easily sidetracked. Yes, Duchess of Argyll there. So if you want to look her up, I did put that little QR code on there. If you know any information about her at all, if you've ever heard of her before, if you're a history buff and you know anything, like I said beforehand, I didn't really have too much of a clue as to who she was, but doing a little bit of research there, it's interesting, and you find out different things about different people, and it's always good to find out that. So anyway, leave your comments down below. Getting attacked again. Flying Squadron, they're after me. And give it a thumbs up if you like it, and I'll see you all on the next one. Take it easy.